As our tour around the British countryside in search of the many bird species that occupy the various habitats draws to a close, it's time to head for the water in search of a selection of beautiful wetland birds that are an absolute delight to watch. There has always been confusion when it comes to distinguishing between a moorhen and a coot, but when you know the differences to look for, it's not a problem. There's something faintly comical about the attractive dark brown moorhen with its bright red forehead and yellow tipped beak when it's squabbling with neighbours over boundaries. Quarrels can be very noisy, as this charming little waterbird is remarkably territorial. Although confusion between the moorhen and the coot can be common, out on open water they're fairly straightforward to distinguish. However, as the moorhen spends considerable amounts of time amongst waterside vegetation, it's not always so easy. A rear view is helpful here, as when the moorhen moves there's a flash of white undertail feathers. This species is widespread throughout, resident on ponds, lakes, marshes and rivers. They can also be seen regularly feeding in open fields, often at surprising distances from the water. The all-black plumage of the coot makes it an easy bird to identify, with the added certainty of white forehead markings and bill. Coots are closely related to moorhens, but this species is definitely more aquatic, even possessing lobed toes for more efficient swimming. Coots are very noisy, squabbling and squawking amongst themselves, making it impossible not to notice them wherever they happen to be in residence. Water plants are the mainstay of the coot's diet, and they're superb divers, making them a joy to watch. Their habitat needs to be more specialised, as deeper water is generally required, making larger stretches of water such as gravel pits and reservoirs ideal. Nevertheless, smaller ponds and rivers do make perfectly adequate locations if there are a few deeper patches of water. As well as these noisy, almost comical little creatures, there are some very elegant wetland birds that are extremely graceful in their movements and seemingly far more sophisticated in their behaviour. The elegant dark crest and ear tufts of the great crested grebe make this a beautiful species to watch. This bird is a British resident, but the only time that identification is tough is during the winter, when a migrant species, the red-necked grebe, arrives in Britain, looking very similar when the great crested grebe loses its crest and ear tufts. In Victorian times, this species faced extinction as a result of its fine feathers, which were much sought after for decorating hats. Fortunately, steps were taken to protect this grebe, and a natural balance has been restored. Lakes, reservoirs and gravel pits are the best locations to spot this species, especially during the mating season when they put on delightful courtship displays. The sight of a grey heron at the water's edge is an absolute delight for the bird watcher, and it will only move should a fish catch its eye, at which point the long neck will extend at lightning speed to grab its prey. This bird is unmistakable, with grey and white plumage and distinctive black crest. Even in flight, with head and neck drawn back, legs stretched out behind and rounded wings flapping to a slow rhythm, the heron is easily identified. As well as fish, the heron will also take frogs, voles and unsuspecting young birds. Nests are large, rather clumsy and made of sticks and can usually be found in trees, reed beds and on occasion up on cliff tops. Leaving the heron to preside over his territory, you'll hopefully have gained a wide-ranging view of the type of species that the observant birdwatcher can spot with the most basic of identification skills when starting out. It is an activity that will become an obsession, and that in itself is a very good thing. An interest in birds and a desire to know more about their habitats and lifestyles will do much to ensure the survival of every bird species that you've seen in this programme. And of course, the many more that live often unnoticed amongst the green and pleasant lands of the British countryside.